For a federal student loan to be considered delinquent, that usually means that a borrower has not made any payment on the account for at least 270 days. So we got notice that the Department of Education, the Trump administration, is going to start collection efforts on student loan borrowers who are in default. So what that means for you, if you're not even sure if your loans are in default, if you haven't been making any payments, it's important that you log into your student aid account. So that way you know what the status of your loans is. There's been a lot of things that has happened since COVID-19. There's been a lot of payment pauses, a lot of extensions, just a lot that has happened within the student loan repayment system. And for a lot of borrowers, just completely confused about, what you need to do or even how to check the status of your loan account to see where you are. So we're going to talk about that today because it's extremely important because we have a lot of upcoming changes in 2026 and you want to just make sure that you're ahead of things, especially if the Department of Education is stating that they're going to be sending out notices. So if you are someone that's in default, the department is going to be sending out notice starting early next month, basically letting you know, alerting you to the fact that the loans are in default and what those collection efforts, could potentially be on your account. And we know with the Department of Education, they have multiple ways to get the money from you. So it's something they can do, and they can do that through garnishing your wages. Not only that, we're going into tax season, offsetting your taxes. That means taking your child tax credits, all of that. So we know they have multiple ways to get the money from you. So we just want to make sure that we don't allow that to happen. Okay, if we can avoid it, let's make sure that we do. And let's talk about it. So we're going to go to studentaid.gov. This is where you get everything that you need to know about your student loans. If you have federal student loans, studentaid.gov is the hub for you to get the information. And as soon as you get to the student aid website, it tells you right here. If you're over 360 days delinquent, which means almost a year, there's 365 days in a year. But if you're almost a year delinquent, meaning you haven't made any payments, then your loans may be into default. They're alerting you to log in to see if you have loans in default. Let me show you exactly how you can check the information. So that way, if you're not sure if your loans are in default, you know exactly what to look for when you get to the student aid website. So let me go to another screen here so I can show you exactly how to access the information. So once you log into your student aid account, you go to studentaid.gov, you see that login button there. You're going to hit that. Once you get to login, this is where you're going to put in your email, however it is, what information you use to log in. That can be your email, your phone number, or your username. You're going to put that information in and you're going to hit continue. Once you hit continue, the Department of Education, they have a two-step verification just to make sure that it's you that's logging into the account. And they're going to send that information to the last info that is on your that's in your student aid account. And that could be through text messaging or through your email. They're going to send you a code. Now, let's say that you don't have this information. This may be old. This is where you can hit that help me access my account. So that way you can go in and update the information in your student aid account. Okay. Next, once they give you the code, you put the information in. It's going to tell you here that you're accessing the government site, basically more or less that the system is monitored. So you just want to make sure that you're using it the proper way. You hit accept. This will get you directly into your student aid account. If you are someone who qualifies for public service loan forgiveness or you've been certifying your employment, you'll be the one who's going to see a tracker here. If public service loan forgiveness, if this is not the route that you have been seeking your forgiveness under, you will not see a tracker here. So what you'll do, you'll be directly on your dashboard. As soon as you log in, you're on your dashboard. At the top here, you'll see all of your different little icons. So that way you'll know where you are with navigating this website. You'll see your dashboard, my activity, my loans, my grants, and then there's more. On the right-hand side of here, this is where you'll see anything that's dealing with your upcoming payments and also your loan servicer. But if you're in default, you'll know as soon as you log in, because right here where you see this yellow box, you'll see a big red box that's going to tell you that these loans are in default. Now, mind you, the system was glitching. It was been glitching for a few weeks. So to verify that the loans are truly into default, we're going to go into the details of the loans to see what the information states. And you can either utilize the icons at the top or you can just scroll down, okay? So when you scroll down, that is where you're going to see My Aid. And we're going to click on View Details because we want to go a little bit deeper into the account information. But you'll see the loan. So we know we have a balance here, that we have an account, a student account that we owe, that we have loans for, okay? So once you hit on View Details, that is where it's going to take you even further into the account and you'll see where you can do the breakdown. Now, you may see like this account, it says 21 loans. This is the amount of loans that this particular person has. But if you've consolidated the loans, you only see two sets. You'll see the you'll see the unsubsidized and the subsidized portion of the consolidation. Or if you haven't consolidated, you'll see all 21 of these loans breaking down and you'll see a payment beside them, okay? But we're going to hit view breakdown. Once you hit view breakdown, like I said, this is if you've consolidated, you'll see the types of the loans. If it's not consolidated, everything will be broken down piece by loan rather, okay? But once you continue down and you scroll down, this is where you'll see the servicer. So you want to make sure that you're looking at the servicer information to see if any of these servicers are holding a balance. One thing about if you have federal student loans, loans being transferred is just something that happens when you have your student loans. But you're supposed to be notified when your loans are transferred to different servicers. So just make sure that if you verify here in your student account that your email and everything is correct, that you're checking your email to see if the Department of Education has sent you anything. And usually in your email, there should be a search function where you can you can just type in Department of Education and it'll filter through your emails to get you to anything that the department has sent you. Okay. Check your spam mail as well. But we want to be looking at every servicer that holds a balance because this is where we get more information about the loan, especially just to verify if those loans are in default. So when you see the servicer that has a loan balance, you're going to hit view loans. Once you hit view loans, and if it's consolidated, it's going to look similar to this. Now you can hit view loan details and it'll break the information down for you even more if the loans are consolidated. But this is where you get to see the loan date, the loan status, the repayment plan, all of that information here. So if it is a loan that is truly in default, then that loan status, of course, we'll see that is in default. But if it's in a forbearance, then you'll see like if you are someone that's in a save plan. Save plan is not considered a default. You're in a forbearance, meaning there's no payments that is required of you at the moment. Things are still working out in the court with in regards to the save plan, but currently right now, if you're in a save plan, you are not in default. None of this information here is applicable to you. This is only if you're in default that you want to double check here just to be sure what it actually says, okay? All right, and also if you are someone and you haven't enrolled in a repayment plan and you're looking here and you see that you're in a repayment plan that may no longer fit your income and family size, this as well will show you how you can, this information here will also let you know like, hey, I may need to look into enrolling in a different type of repayment plan. So you just want to look at your loan status, your repayment plan, all of that information here. Okay. All right. Here's, if you continue more or less at the top, you hit grants, it'll give you more information about your Pell grants. All right, let's go back to the student aid website. All right, let's go back. Okay. Let's make sure I'm sharing properly. All right. Let's see. All right. Just want to make sure that it's sharing properly on the right screen. So when you get to the student aid website, if you, like I said, if you're in default, it's just important to know exactly what the Department of Education, what actually happens when that loan goes into default, meaning that there are now collection efforts that are happening on collecting that student loan from you. So what we're going to do is we're going to go under loan repayment, okay? And this is where you get information. Anything that has to deal with repaying your student loans, click on loan repayment. It'll give you the repayment plans, repayment 101, anything about deferment or forbearance, and then delinquency and default. Also, the tools and calculators. You need to know what your payments will look like on a different type of repayment plan. So like I said, after you log in and you see that you're in a repayment plan or you need to get enrolled in a new repayment plan, this is where you can go to get an idea of what your payments will look like under a different repayment plan before making any type of commitment, okay? But we're going to go to delinquency and default, okay? Once we get to delinquency and default, this is where all of the information tells you what the Department of Education can do if these loans are delinquent or if these loans are in default. So it tells you if you've missed a payment or having trouble making payments, immediately contact and discuss options with the organization that handles billing and other services for your loan to avoid defaulting on your loan. In the beginning, I said when you log into your student aid account, if you are in default, once you get to that dashboard, there's going to be a red banner. It's going to tell you that your loans are in default. But to verify, to double verify that the loans are technically in default, that's when we go more into the details of it. But you want to look at the account if it is technically in default. It's going to be a banner. It's going to tell you who to contact. And the Department of Education, depending on what type of loans you have, could be the difference in who is actually collecting on the defaulted loan. And they tell you that here. For the William D. Ford or the Direct Loan Program or FFEL, contact your loan servicer. For Federal Perkins Loan, contact the school where you received the loan for details. If you know your Perkins loans has been assigned to the U.S. Department of Education, they give you here who to contact. If you don't know who your loan servicer is, we logged into the student aid account. That's how you're able to see the information through your My Aid page in your student aid account, but also with delinquency. So here, this is who you'll contact if you're having trouble to make a payment. But it's telling you about delinquency. The first day after you miss a student loan payment, your loan becomes past due or delinquent. So that first day that you miss a payment, you are technically delinquent. Your loan account remains delinquent until you repay the past due amount or make other arrangements such as changing repayment plans or getting into a deferment or forbearance. For most borrowers, just if you're able, switching repayment plans could kind of get you into the right plan that's connected to, your income and family size. So that's based off that current information. If you're delinquent on your student loan payment for 90 days or more, your loan servicer will report the delinquency to the National Credit Bureaus, which can negatively impact your credit rating. So you know that if you are 90 days or more late on your student loan, then that's when the information is reported to the credit reporting agencies. And mind you, student loans don't report until they are 90 days late. So let's say that you are struggling with the student loans, you're in repayment, and you're 30 days past due. We know that that information is not going to hit the credit report until it's at least 91 days or 90 days past due. So you want to make sure that you get on top of that before it gets to that 90-day mark so that that information is not reported to the credit reporting agency. So it's basically like the department is giving you some time, at least we'll say that, before there's any type of negative harm that happens to your credit report. Okay. All right, but they tell you if you continue to be delinquent, you risk your loan going into default. Don't ignore your student loan payments. Defaulting can have serious consequences, okay? And they tell you how to learn how to avoid default. But more or less here, they tell you about if you have the credit rating. So that means if that information reaches the credit report, what can happen, okay? As far as, of course, lowering your credit score, which means, your access to credit cards, home loans, and things of that nature happens when the credit is deemed with a 90-day late payment, okay? This is where we get into default because if you continue to be delinquent, that's where the loan goes into default. The point the loan is considered to default varies depending on the type of loan you receive. For a loan made under the William D. Ford Federal Direct Loan Program or the FFEL program, you're considered to be in default if you don't make your scheduled payment loan for at least 270 days. For a loan made under the Federal Perkins Loan Program, the holder of the loan may declare the loan to be in default if you don't make your scheduled payment by the due date. So that's why it's important when you're logging into the student aid account that you know what type of loans that you have. So just like we went in and we looked at the loans, you want to know what they are because if they're not consolidated loans, they could be these older type of Perkins loans, these FFEL loans, and you want to know who actually holds the loan. So that way you'll know how if you are delinquent or if you are in default status, what it is that you need to do and how long you have before the status is reached. If you default on any of your federal student loans, contact the organization that notified you of the default as soon as possible so you can explain your situation fully and discuss your options. Here's where they tell you if you make repayment arrangements soon enough after your loan has gone into default, you may be able to resolve the default quickly. Here's where you can click to learn more about default. They tell you how I can get out of default. One way is to repay the defaulted loan in full, but I don't know anybody that has, hundreds of thousands of dollars. There's other ways to do loan rehabilitation or loan consolidation, but we want to make sure that we understand both of these before you make a decision to do rehabilitation or consolidation. And this is where you can click to get that information about it. How the Department of Education supports you during delinquency and default. But they tell you starting in April 2025 and continuing into May, the department is going to email borrowers who are at least 60 days delinquent on their monthly loan payments and borrowers who have federal student loans in default. So we know that they have already sent out emails to borrowers, so you want to be checking your email. The emails will show information on how to manage and how to get out of default. They'll be sent to borrowers from the email address, no reply at studentaid.gov. So this is the email that you want to plug into, like I said in the beginning, how you can filter out information in your in your email account. So you can highlight this, log into your email, plug this into the little magnifier in your email, and allow the system to filter out through your emails for no reply at studentaid.gov. Check not only your regular inbox, but check your spam and junk mail as well to see if there's anything that's been sent by the Department of Education, okay? They tell you again, remember, you never have to pay for help with your federal student aid. Unfortunately, with the long waits and the misinformation that's been provided, from getting assistance directly through student aid, it has had a lot of student loan borrowers to revert to outside assistance with their student loans. And unfortunately, there can be a lot of people that are taking advantage of student loan borrowers and what student loan borrowers don't know. So it's very important that we make sure that we know what the right questions are if you are going and you're seeking help outside of, um, the the loan services, although That can be a hit or miss as well. But just make sure that we just making sure we have we're doing our research on people. Okay, that's what I'll just say. Make sure you're doing your research and your homework on people before you are paying someone to assist you with your student loans. Okay. All right. They tell you when will wage garnishment begin, and it's saying later in 2025, but we know that they're going to start this in 2026, sending out notices. They tell you about the consequences of default. The entire unpaid balance is going to be due. So as soon as these loans go into default, they're coming after you for the entire balance. Your tax refunds and federal benefit payments may be withheld and applied to a repayment of your defaulted student loan, which is through a Treasury offset. We're going into tax season. There are already borrowers who are in default. So that means you want to make sure that you're getting on top of this before the Department of Education starts to offset your refund. Your wages may be garnished. This means your employer may be required to withhold a portion of your pay and send it to your loan holder to repay your loan. You can no longer receive deferment or forbearances, and you lose eligibility for other benefits such as the ability to choose a repayment plan. You lose ability or eligibility for additional federal student aid, such as Pell Grants and student loans. It's reported to the credit reporting agencies, which damages your credit. It may take years to reestablish good credit, all these other things. And then also your loan holder can take you to court. So you can be sued for these, okay? And then on top of that, the additional costs, the court costs, collection fees, attorney fees, and other ugh, get it together, and other costs associated with the collection process. Your school may withhold your official transcript. If it withholds your official transcript upon your request, they must provide you with an unofficial transcript that might be accepted by another institution, okay? But if you are having trouble making payments or concerned about the status of your federal student loans, you have options. Contact the loan servicer to get assistance with the payments, or the other option, like they said, the rehabilitation or do the consolidation. But of course, we want to make sure that we do our checks on all of that. Let's go actually look at that, okay? Let's go back up here, okay? What loan rehabilitation consists of, because you want to know what happens when you do a rehab on your student loans, okay? So they tell you one option for getting out is to do the loan rehabilitation. To start this process, you must contact your loan holder. If you're not sure, you can log in to view your loan servicer. So just like log into the student aid account to see who's the holder of the loan. What you need to do to rehabilitate your loans depends on the type of loans depends on your loan type and who holds your loans. Loans in the direct loan program and FFEL have different requirements than loans that are in the federal Perkins loan program. They tell you to rehabilitate a defaulted student loan, a direct or FFEL. You must agree in writing to make non-voluntary, reasonable, and affordable monthly payments as determined by your loan holder within 20 days of the due date and make online payments during 10 consecutive months. So I was in a loan rehab program when my student loans went into default. And basically I made $5. My payment was $5 a month. I made that for 9 months. And then after that, I was able to enroll into an income-driven payment plan that was based on my income and family size at the time. And then yeah, I was good to go after that. But want to look into loan rehabilitation if that is something that works for you. But oh yeah, here it says depending on your income, your monthly payment under loan rehab could be as low as, yeah, mine was $5. I didn't even see that there. But they go into all the other information here for the requirements, the benefits about your information. You regain eligibility for benefits that were available on the loan before you defaulted. You'll also be able to receive federal student aid again. Also, the record of default on the rehabilitated loan will be removed from your credit history. However, the credit history will still show late payments that were reported by your loan holder before you went into default. So this is the thing, the difference between a rehabilitated and a consolidated. Once you do the rehabilitation, the information on your credit report that's connected to the default will be removed. Now, of course, the late payments on there, but you can always dispute late payments, especially if they are inaccurate. But as far as the defaulted information, that will be removed from the credit report. Now, if you consolidate the loans, meaning you combine them all into one, and there's a process for consolidation. You want to be sure when you consolidate, because what happens is you're opening up a new loan. So if there was payments that you made on the loan, let's say you qualify for public service loan forgiveness, and even just seeking a loan under income-driven repayment, then you lose those credits that you had prior to that consolidation. So we just want to make sure that we're reading everything before you make the decision to do a consolidation or rehab, whichever one works the best for you. But they tell you what you have to do to consolidate. Agree to repay the new direct consolidation loan under an IDR plan or make 3 consecutive voluntary on-time full monthly payments on the defaulted loan before you consolidate it. If you choose to make the 3 payments on the defaulted loan before you consolidate it, the required payment amount will be determined by your loan holder. But the payment amount cannot be more than what is reasonable and affordable based on your total financial circumstances. Then they give you the special considerations if you want to reconsolidate an existing direct loan or FFEL loan that is in default. So they give you all the information here, but also it tells you about the impact on your credit history. If you consolidate a defaulted loan, the record of the default as well as the late payments reported before the loan went into default will remain in your credit history. And they tell you that that information about the late payments will stay on the report from 7 years. They go into more too about wage garnishment or court orders, repayment plans after consolidation. All of the information here about getting your loans out of default through a consolidation, or even if you want to do it through loan rehabilitation. Consolidation is free. It doesn't cost you anything to do a consolidation. But like I said, you want to make sure that whichever you decide to do to get the loans out of default, that you do that and you're making that decision 100% informed. Also, when you're dealing with a defaulted student loan, there's information that you can request about the loans. Because of course, if you're dealing with a defaulted student loan and they're trying to collect money from you, then you want to make sure that they are collecting the right amount. So there's things that you can request directly from the Department of Education. You can request from the loan servicer because you want to know that the amount that they are coming after you for, that it's, like I said, the right amount. So you can request copies of your payment history, the records that they have, and also things that they have with your school. You can request all of that information from them if they are attempting to collect on these defaulted student loans. But here's things if you're having any issues as far as with your loans, if you're having any issues with that, and this is what the department tells you as well. And these are things that we should be doing anyway, especially we're communicating with customer service and with the loan servicer, all the information that you need. Keep careful notes of all conversations you have. Follow up in writing so you have a physical record of what has been said and done. Request a copy of your customer service history. Some loan servicers make available copies of the notes that customer service representative makes on your account. When you speak with someone on the phone, make a note of whom you spoke with and when and what was said. When you use mail, keep a copy of your letter and any replies you receive. Save the originals of all receipts, bills, letters, and emails regarding your account. Provide copies of the originals if you are asked for them. Send letters via certified mail with a return receipt requested. So that way you know who signed for it. Write down the facts and order they took place and stick to what is relevant. Include important details. Your account number on top of your letter. Ask for a response in a reasonable time, and be sure to tell the customer service representative how you can be reached. Okay. So this is all the information that that the Department of Education is telling you, but these are things that we should be doing anyway if we're speaking to these loan servicers, all the things that we should be doing if we're communicating with them, okay? But like I said, and here's another thing about requesting documentation. This is what they tell you that you can request, but you can ask for anything. There's nothing that prevents you from asking for anything that you want that's connected to your student loans, okay? But yeah, this is things that they tell you what you can request. And if this is who's collected on the defaulted student loan, where you send the information to and what needs to be included. If you're dealing with, let's say, possible offset, let's say you just don't know, you just want to check to see, you can go directly to the Department of Treasury, or they have a Treasury offset program, and it shows you how this program works, okay? But I'm going to scroll down here because this is the phone number where you can actually call and check to see if your student loans are being offset. And you can just do that ahead of time if you want to. So that way you can tell if, the government is going to offset your refund. Like I said, they can take your taxes, your child tax, all your credits, all of that information the refund that they can take from you. And when you call this is going to be like an automated system. And that way you can know if your name is on the collection list. But it'll also tell you the agency who has referred you to collections or to the offset program. So that way you can tell if it was the Department of Education who truly put an offset on the student loan. So just make sure that that's your other route to check if you just want to check to see if your name is on the list. If you're not sure, that number right there, that 1-800-304-3107 is what you can call. Okay. It's going to ask you for your social security number. So, all that information you'll need to provide. Okay. I hope that this all helps. And yeah, let's just kind of, we stay all ahead of it, then we don't have to worry about being behind it.